Welcome to my PodX 3 tones release and tutorial video. In the description you'll find a download link to the tones. It includes 4 rhythm tones that need impulse responses, and 2 bass tones and 2 ambient clean tones that don't need impulse responses. Now let's just go right ahead and EQing them. First of all, the impulse I use for the rhythm tones is taken from the experimental impulse pack from the NGL folder. It doesn't really matter what kind of impulses you use, but I just think those sound the best to me. But unfortunately, those impulses in particular need a bit more of EQing to make them sit in the mix right. If you use other impulses, then the approach I'm taking here might not be the best for you. If you use the same ones, then yeah, you can just follow this. If you don't have the experimental impulse pack and would like to have it, I put a link in the description to a video in which I show you where you can download it legitimately. I will not provide it myself. Let's listen to the first tone without any EQing. As you can hear, there's a lot of boomy low end going on. That's mostly because of the impulse. It has a lot of low end. And although I already tried to tame the troublesome regions with the pod equalizer, you still need to do a lot of post EQing. So what I like to do is put a high pass filter and a band, an EQ band, around the same region to tame it. If you only use a high pass filter, then you tend to put it higher and higher until the boominess is gone, but then suddenly all your low end is gone. So I rather recommend to put a high pass filter not too drastically, and then put another band and lower around 120 Hertz. That's the main culprit. And this really helps to tame it. And then here I get rid of some honkiness and muddiness. And then although I also put a bit of low passing on the tones with a pod EQ, I still put a high cut in here just to get really rid of that very high fizziness. And then to tame some more of this hiss, I like to lower the high end. This one depends on the tone really, but it's all in the same region between 5 to 8 kilohertz that you can pull back just a tiny bit to get more control of that. So let's listen before and after. Okay. Then here with this EQ, I do some surgical stuff to get rid of some fizzy annoying frequencies. Again, this is kind of more dependent on your setup and your recording. I'm not sure if those same frequencies will really be the most troublesome for you, but the way to find annoying frequencies and cutting them out is you take a band, put it way high with a high Q, sweep through the area until you find something very annoying, and then you cut it down a few dBs and then sweep again through the same area. And then you'll notice there is some fizzy frequency jumping into your ear. And then you need to find the spot when it seems to be gone. And then don't pull it down too hard. Maybe a 3 dB is enough. And that helps it. If you think after this the tone sounds too dull, then you can actually keep this high taming up here. But it really also depends on the mix, you know. It's dangerous to just listen to the guitars and do all the EQing. Also do it in the mix, because although it may sound a little dull on its own, in the mix it may sound pretty good. And then a third EQ to boost some stuff. This is pretty much just the general boosting EQ that I like to do, around 200 Hertz and the 1 kilohertz and the 3.5 kilohertz, just to get it a bit powerful again. Now let's go before and after all the EQs. And let's check it out in the mix. And that's pretty much the exact same approach with all the other tones, but it just needs fine tweaking. The principles are still the same everywhere. The Angie tone, which is with the Engel model, probably needs a little taming around 2 kilohertz because it sounds kind of scratchy in there. I like that tone in particular because it sounds kind of savagery. But you're open to do with those whatever you want. Now let's take a look at the 2 bass tones. The first one, the monster bass tone. There's actually just some basic EQing, nothing big really. Just a low cut and a high cut. And with my bass guitar, I get a little bit of resonance around 600 Hertz, so I lowered this a little bit. Doesn't necessarily have to be with yours, but I like to boost the 2 kilohertz section to get more of a bite in there. And then the second bass tone, this one is pretty good for slapping also. Also just basic EQing, then you don't really need to do a whole lot to those. And the clean tones, well, they just need some low cut and nothing big really either. So that's just it. And if you have Native Instruments Studio Drummer, I also put a download link to my basic preset in the description. Now this is not the same way as iMixer jumps for my music, but this one is still pretty cool. And the way you load it up is, need a big view. You go to Files, Load, and then you look for it wherever you saved it, and you double click it, and then a window pops up, and you click on yes, and then it loads, and it's done. Okay, have fun.